So CES 2026, Day 2, went all in on physical AI. Humanoid robots from multiple companies, industrial AI running inside construction equipment, autonomous airport robots, and a Level 4 self-driving car built around an onboard supercomputer pushing over 8,000 trillion operations per second. On the consumer side, we saw phone-free smart glasses, a health scanner measuring more than 60 biomarkers, vehicle chargers pulling over a kilowatt on the move, AI assistants moving directly into cars, and much more. In this video, I'm breaking down everything that actually matters from Day 2, so let's talk about it. Alright, so again, robotics completely dominated the floor. Not just one company and not one humanoid, but an entire wave of different approaches, sizes, and roles. NEURA Robotics was one of the strongest examples of this shift. The company showed its next generation 4NE1 humanoid, and the focus was on refinement. Movement looked tighter, balance recovery was smoother, and interaction felt more controlled. The robot is designed to work in human spaces, not behind safety cages, which means force sensing, perception, and compliance matter more than raw speed. Alongside it, NEURA showed a smaller humanoid sibling. This version targets education, research, and tighter environments where size and weight matter. What's important here is that both robots share the same intelligence stack, so skills learned on one platform can transfer to the other without starting from zero. NEURA also brought a quadruped platform, which reinforced something a lot of companies quietly accept. Now, bipedal robots aren't the answer to everything. Terrain, stability, and task define the shape. Fourier Intelligence came in from a completely different angle. Their GR3 humanoid was framed around care, rehabilitation, and healthcare environments. The robot's movement was slower on purpose. The design prioritized predictability and safety over speed. In hospitals and assisted living spaces, sudden movements are a problem, not a feature. Fourier positioned GR3 as something that can assist patients, help with mobility tasks, and operate around people who may not move quickly or predictably. They also showed a smaller CareBot variant built on the same intelligence system. Again, same pattern. One brain, multiple bodies, each optimized for a specific role. AgiBot took the most aggressive approach by showing not one robot, but a full lineup. The A2 series represented full-size humanoids designed for navigation, interaction, and general tasks. The X2 series scaled that down into compact humanoids meant for education, demonstrations, and social environments where cost and size limit deployment. The G2 series targeted industrial settings, focusing on manipulation and load handling. Then there was the D1 Quadruped, built for inspection and terrain traversal where legs beat wheels. On top of all of that, AgiBot showed OmniHand, a dexterous manipulation system designed to handle fine motor tasks. The key takeaway here was maturity. Then, Caterpillar brought industrial AI into the conversation with its Cat AI system, which is not cloud-dependent intelligence. It actually runs directly on the machine using NVIDIA Jetson Thor hardware. Construction and mining sites don't have reliable connectivity, so decisions have to happen locally. Cat AI processes massive streams of sensor data in real time, offering operators coaching, safety alerts, and performance insights. Machines share information with each other about terrain, weather, equipment, status, and workflow. The company framed this as a digital nervous system for job sites, and that description actually fits. This is AI acting as infrastructure. Oshkosh Corporation applied a similar idea to aviation. They showed autonomous airport tarmac robots designed to support aircraft turnaround operations. These machines help guide planes, manage ground tasks, and maintain operations even in extreme weather. The goal is fewer delays, improved safety, and tighter coordination. Testing is already underway with major airlines, and rollout is planned for large hub airports first. This is automation targeting one of the most timing-critical environments in transportation. Centigen Technology added a smaller but important piece with the Rovar X3. This is a rugged outdoor robot built to move across stairs and uneven terrain, which immediately puts it into inspection and monitoring roles. The platform is compact and low profile, helping it stay stable while climbing steps or navigating rough surfaces where wheeled indoor robots usually fail. Functionally, the Rovar X3 is designed to carry cameras and sensor payloads and operate in outdoor or semi-industrial environments like facilities, campuses, or infrastructure sites. Its main job is mobility and data collection, not interaction or manipulation. The stair climbing capability removes a major deployment limitation, allowing it to move between levels without manual relocation. It's a purpose-built inspection platform meant to operate repeatedly in environments that are physically inconsistent and not robot-friendly. Home robotics experimentation continued with Dream's CyberX concept. Instead of forcing a vacuum to climb stairs, Dream separated the problem. CyberX is a mechanical system that carries a robot vacuum between floors using articulated tracks. It maintains balance, grips steps, and handles elevation changes. This approach treats stairs as a physical problem rather than a software one, which is honestly refreshing. It shows that companies are still experimenting with form and architecture instead of pretending one design solves all homes. Beyond robotics, this part of the show leaned into experimental hardware, and one of the clearer examples was Flywing's folding VTOL foam aircraft. The design combines vertical takeoff and landing with fixed-wing forward flight, which means it can lift off in tight spaces and then transition into efficient horizontal flight. The airframe uses lightweight foam construction to keep weight down, while still supporting integrated motors for both lift and forward propulsion. The aircraft is built around an FPV system that streams live video to goggles using DJI's long-range O4 wireless technology. Head tracking is integrated, so the onboard camera follows the pilot's head movement, creating a cockpit-style viewpoint rather than a static drone feed. This setup is aimed at immersion and precise control rather than autonomous flight. Flywing claims a top speed approaching 75 miles per hour and up to 60 minutes of flight time under ideal conditions, which is long for a VTOL platform of this size. The full kit, priced at around $2,000, includes the aircraft, propulsion system, and FPV setup, positioning it closer to advanced hobbyist or simulation-focused users than casual drone pilots. From a technical standpoint, the product sits between traditional quadcopters and fixed-wing FPV aircraft, combining the vertical flexibility of one with the range and speed of the other. All right, then, Rainio introduced the X3 Pro smart glasses, and the key point is that they work without a phone acting as a crutch. These are standalone glasses with onboard processing and built-in connectivity, so tasks like notifications, navigation cues, and assistant interactions run directly on the device. That changes how they're meant to be used, because you're not constantly pairing, unlocking, or pulling a phone out just to make them useful. From a hardware perspective, the X3 Pro is designed around a lightweight frame with integrated cameras, microphones, and speakers, plus a compact display system that keeps information minimal and readable rather than immersive. Rainio isn't trying to replace a laptop screen or create full augmented reality scenes. The display is meant for short bursts of information, things like prompts, alerts, translations, or assistant responses, delivered in a way that doesn't block vision or demand constant attention. The onboard processing allows basic AI tasks to run locally, while connectivity handles cloud requests when needed. That balance matters for latency and battery life. Instead of pushing heavy visuals, the X3 Pro focuses on assistant-style interaction and contextual awareness, where the glasses act more like a lightweight interface layer than a visual platform. Technically, it's closer to a wearable AI terminal than an AR headset, which is why it fits better into everyday use rather than niche demos. Consumer gadgets shifted heavily toward practical use cases. Clicks introduced the Communicator phone, built around a physical keyboard. This is clearly targeting people who care about typing accuracy, tactile feedback, and control. Expandable storage and hardware buttons reinforce that focus. It's not trying to be trendy, it's trying to be usable. BirdBuddy came back with the BirdBuddy 2 Mini. This is a compact smart bird feeder with AI-based bird detection. It uses both visual recognition and audio analysis to identify species. Users get notifications, clips, and logs of activity. The smaller form factor and lower price open this up to a wider audience, and it shows how AI can enhance everyday hobbies without turning them into tech overload. Luna introduced the Luna Band, which removes the screen entirely. No display, no notifications, constantly pulling attention. It tracks fitness and health data, delivers coaching through voice and apps, and avoids subscriptions. It's clearly designed for people who want tracking without distraction, and it fits into a broader trend of reducing screen dependence. Personal safety got a serious upgrade with the Timeli flashlight. This device integrates GPS, LTE connectivity, video recording, and emergency response into a single handheld tool. If something goes wrong, it can trigger emergency protocols and stream live video. It's positioned as a safety companion rather than a gadget, which is an important distinction. Audio wearables evolved with Shokz OpenFit Pro earbuds. These are open-ear headphones designed to keep users aware of their surroundings while delivering improved sound quality and noise management. They're built for movement, outdoor use, and long wear without isolation. Power and mobility intersected with Bluetooth's Charger 2, which is a vehicle-based charging system built specifically for high-capacity portable power stations. The key number here is output. Up to 1,200 watts delivered directly from a vehicle's electrical system, which is a massive jump compared to standard 12-volt outlets that usually cap out around 100 watts. In practical terms, that means charging large battery stations in a fraction of the time while driving, instead of needing hours or an external power source. The Charger 2 is designed to integrate into a vehicle's electrical system and supports bidirectional power flow. That allows it to reverse charging direction, meaning it can be used to jumpstart a vehicle or maintain the starter battery using a connected power station. This makes it useful for van builds, mobile work vehicles, off-grid travel, and emergency setups where power reliability matters. Rather than being a simple accessory, it functions more like a power management module for vehicles that rely heavily on portable energy storage. Clever K9 showed a smart dog crate that applies connected tech to pet containment and safety. The crate includes app-based control that lets owners remotely lock or unlock doors, which is useful for managing access without being physically present. Sensors inside the crate monitor conditions like temperature and environment status, helping ensure the space remains safe for the animal. From a practical standpoint, the system is built around automation rather than novelty. The crate can integrate with alerts and routines, for example, responding to smoke or air quality triggers by unlocking automatically. While it's a niche product, it reflects how connected hardware is moving beyond entertainment and convenience into monitoring and safety roles, even in areas like pet care where reliability matters more than flashy features. DeskMate added a mechanical twist to desk setups with a motorized phone dock designed to track movement and adjust orientation in real time. Using built-in motors and sensors, the dock physically rotates and tilts to keep the mounted smartphone facing the user. This allows the phone's camera and display to stay aligned without relying entirely on digital cropping or software tricks. Functionally, DeskMate turns a standard smartphone into a face-tracking desk device for video calls, content viewing, or assistant-style interactions. The approach avoids adding a dedicated screen or processor, instead using simple mechanics to extend the usefulness of hardware people already own. It's a small example of how physical movement combined with existing devices can create new interaction models without increasing system complexity. Health tech took a big step with Withings Body Scan 2. This smart scale measures over 60 biomarkers in about 90 seconds. It tracks heart health, nerve health, vascular metrics, metabolic indicators, and electrodermal activity. Users stand barefoot and hold sensors to capture electrical signals. Data is visualized over time through a subscription app, focusing on trends rather than single readings. Withings clearly positioned this as preventative health tech, not a fitness accessory. Automotive tech leaned hard into AI integration, and Ford laid out one of the clearer, more structured roadmaps. The company announced an AI voice assistant that rolls out first inside its mobile app, then expands directly into vehicles. What matters here is the level of integration. This assistant isn't limited to infotainment commands. It has access to vehicle-specific systems and data, which means drivers can ask questions about oil life, tire status, battery health, range estimates, load capacity, and maintenance schedules using natural language. The assistant is built on large language models hosted through Google Cloud, but Ford emphasized that it's using off-the-shelf models combined with its own vehicle data layers rather than training proprietary foundation models from scratch. Ford also used the announcement to outline its broader autonomy timeline. The company's upcoming universal electric vehicle platform, scheduled to launch in 2027, is designed to reduce manufacturing complexity and hardware costs by roughly 30% compared to its current EV systems. That platform becomes the base for the next generation of driver assistance. Ford stated that eyes-off driving is targeted for 2028, with point-to-point autonomy capabilities similar in scope to advanced hands-free highway systems. A key detail here is that Ford plans to develop most of the core computing modules and electronic architecture internally. That approach gives the company tighter control over cost, update cycles, and long-term software support. Tensor approached autonomy from the opposite direction, starting with compute and building a vehicle around it. The company showed its Level 4 autonomous Robocar, designed as an AI-first system, rather than adapting an existing electric vehicle. At the core of the car is an onboard supercomputer built using 8 NVIDIA Drive AGX Thor system on chips based on the Blackwell GPU architecture. Combined, that hardware delivers over 8,000 trillion operations per second, which allows perception, planning, prediction, and control to run simultaneously with redundancy. This level of compute is meant to handle complex urban environments without constant reliance on remote processing. The sensor stack matches that ambition. Tensor uses a dual LiDAR configuration with a Halo Hyper LiDAR system, providing full 360-degree coverage and generating up to 25 million beams per second for long-range and mid-range perception. A secondary Sentinel LiDAR focuses on near-field awareness and blind spot coverage, improving detection of pedestrians, cyclists, and close-range obstacles. These LiDARs are paired with cameras and radar to create overlapping perception layers, which is critical for Level 4 autonomy, where the system handles driving without human intervention under defined conditions. Tensor also highlighted its regulatory progress. The company holds one of California's earliest driverless testing permits for passenger vehicles, and it emphasized that nearly 9 years of development went into validating both the hardware and the autonomy stack. Deliveries of the Robocar are planned for late 2026, with the first operational markets expected in 2027. Lyft's involvement connects this technology directly to real-world deployment. Tensor's vehicles are being developed with ride-hailing integration in mind from the start, rather than as a later add-on. That means routing, fleet management, and passenger interaction systems are designed to plug directly into Lyft's existing platform. The goal is to move autonomous vehicles into active service with paying customers, where uptime, safety performance, and operational efficiency matter as much as technical capability. PC hardware filled in the rest of the ecosystem. Dell refreshed its premium lineup with the XPS 14 and XPS 16 for 2026, featuring Intel Core Ultra Series processors, OLED displays, and refined aluminum designs. Samsung continued pushing into premium Windows laptops with the Galaxy Book 6 lineup, emphasizing AI acceleration and performance. HP surprised many with the EliteBoard G1A, a computer built directly into a keyboard form factor, modernizing an old idea for enterprise use. Audio and lifestyle tech rounded things out. Audio-Technica introduced the AT-LP 7X turntable, updating its analog lineup with improved components and modern connectivity. Victrola showed the Soundstage, an all-in-one sound base designed to sit under a turntable, simplifying vinyl setups without sacrificing sound quality. That's where things stand for now. More is coming, and I'll be covering it next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.